everyone, this is The Last Word and I'm Maria Shakil. 2 days after Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar posted his surprise resignation letter to the President on X, the Election Commission has started the process of preparing for elections to his office. In fact, the Union Home Ministry notified Dhankhar's resignation a day ago through its gazetted notification. And now in its note, the Election Commission has said that it has already started the preparations for these polls. Preparatory activities, remember, includes the creation of an electoral college, which consists of elected as well as nominated members of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. The Election Commission will finalize the returning officer and assistant returning officers for this exercise, and it will also prepare and disseminate previous material on previous vice presidential elections. Who will be the next vice presidential nominee of the NDA and the India bloc is the big question now. Today, though, the theories around surprise exit of Jagdeep Dhankhar continued in the corridors of power. Congress continuing to say that the resignation is more than what it meets the eye, that it is not a case of just a resignation based on health reasons. Surprisingly, Congress Chief Minister from Telangana, Revanth Reddy, also added a Telugu twist. Let's listen into reactions and then we bring in a member of parliament of the Congress party, Renuka Chaudhary, right here on the show.
हमको तो ऐसा दिख रहा है कि दाल में कुछ काला है, नहीं तो उनका हेल्थ भी ठीक है। वो हमेशा तो आरएसएस और बीजेपी को इतना डिफेंड करते थे, शायद ही वो खुद आरएसएस और बीजेपी के लोग नहीं करते थे। इतना उनका यानी निष्ठा, लॉयल्टी उनके साथ थी। तो ऐसे वक्त में उन्होंने जो राजीनामा दिया है, इसके पीछे क्या है, कौन है और इसका कारण क्या है, देश को बताना चाहिए।
तो धनखर जी का रिजिग्नेशन अब किस लिए किया मुझे पता नहीं, वो अनफॉर्चुनेट वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया तेलंगाना को देना है, क्योंकि पिछले बार हमारे वेंकैया नायडू था, राष्ट्रपति बनाने के लिए चर्चा हुए, उनका अन्याय किए, वापस भेज दिए दिल्ली से। तेलुगु भाषा बोलने वाले को आप घर वापसी कर दिए। तो उसको सुधारने के लिए हमारे बंडारू दत्तात्रेय जी का खाली हरियाणा गवर्नर का जिम्मेदारी खत्म हो गए। साउथ और खासकर तेलंगाना में जितने भी ओबीसी है, सबका गला काट दिए एनडीए ने। सो साउथ को माफ करने के लिए दत्तात्रेय जी को वाइस प्रेसिडेंट बनाया तो ठीक रहता है।
Congress MP Renuka Chaudhary is joining me now. We are looking at Ms. Chaudhary as to who will be the next vice president and the notification having been issued by the Election Commission. What will be the India bloc looking at? And, because the elections are going to be held very soon, perhaps by the end of next month.
Maria, actually what this nation is staring at is where egos dominate common sense. Parliament's notification was given approximately 28 days ago. Everyone knew that we're going to have Parliament monsoon session at this point. If that was the case, you mean to say that this government did not know what Mr. Dhankhar was going to do or made to do? He was made to do it. Let's be very clear about this. And you do this on the first day of a session, and a session that we have been looking forward to because they did not hold a special session which we had asked for in between in the light of the Pahalgaon killings and the so-called Operation Sindoor which they are boasting about. And the contentious issues which the country is looking for and asking answers. And on the first day of the session, you have the Vice President of the country, while the Prime Minister is outside the country, that he will resign. What kind of political signal are we giving in a democracy? And for what? The truth has to come out. What is it that Mr. Dhankhar has been guilty of? As it is in Lok Sabha, you go to see it, we haven't had a deputy speaker for the past 10 years. Where is the Lokpal? What happened to the RTI? All the instruments of democracy and constitutional recognition have been insidiously weeded out and worked away. And what is that national emergency that forced the government to make sure that this man resigns on the first day of Parliament when there's so many issues lying there? And I'm not very impressed that they started the procedure for the election. They had to. But having said that, there's nothing they can do. In this session, we are not going to have a vice president in place. And so we are just supposed to sit back and accept this and say, okay, now the show will go on. What kind of misgovernance is this that's happening in this country? And what signals are you giving internationally? This is so bizarre.
But Renuka ji, you know, what is evident is that something has changed in the last 6 months. You're a member of the House of which Mr. Dhankhar was the chairperson. He was the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. You're an MP of the Congress party from the Rajya Sabha. 6 months ago, it was your party, you, which had signed an impeachment motion against Mr. Dhankhar. You have moved that impeachment motion. Of course, it was rejected on technical grounds. What really changed in these 6 months, ma'am?
Nothing has changed. We are not singing laurels for the vice president. We have complained about him not being, him being so partial to one side. Everyone has witnessed, we've seen him. He didn't let the LOP complete his remarks. That's not the issue. The issue is that there is a chair. There is a representation of a democratic appointment there. And there is a chair sitting in position on the first day of the session, which has come up after so many incidents have happened in between the two sessions. There's so many contentious issues that should have been addressed now in the first 3 days of the session. But what happened? We are not saying that we want to keep Mr. Dhankhar. That's okay. Whatever the party wants to do, their party, that's fine. That is not the issue. The issue is that there are serious things that need to be addressed. The nation is waiting for the answers. And in the middle of all this, you go and do this drama of making the vice president of the country resign. And in the Lok Sabha, you haven't appointed a deputy speaker for 10 years. You can't find it within yourself. You can't find your own party president. You've been giving extensions bit by bit. You can't appoint a president for yourself, for your own party. He is the vice president, whether you like it or not. But the point is that at a situation like this, when the Pahalgaon killers have not yet been arrested, when we are having commerce issues, there is a debate going on globally. We have tariffs which are hurting us. You have the rupee which is sliding every day. Where does that leave? There's 60 to 80% drop in Indian students going to the US of A. There's unemployment at huge levels. You don't think this was more important than somebody's ego with Mr. Dhankhar? That is the issue that we are asking. What happened? What's happening to all the instruments of democracy? One by one, they're being weeded out. And then they have these diversionary tactics. They'll take up Rahul Gandhi's name or Mrs. Gandhi's name. Some drama like this they keep doing to divert from the real issues. And the real issues go unanswered. I mean, this is a bizarre way to run this country. You couldn't make him resign before the session started. You couldn't make him resign a week later. 2 weeks later, there's a long weekend where you take up these issues first as prima facie. You don't do any of that. And let's come to the impeachment issue. Why is it they don't want Rajya Sabha to take it up? They wanted Lok Sabha. They pretend that their members have signed for the impeachment in the Lok Sabha.
Yes.
In the Rajya Sabha,
of 145 MPs, a notice was submitted.
The bills, the motions remain live. So they want to pretend that they want to impeach the judge and the Lok Sabha. Why Lok Sabha? Why not the Rajya Sabha is my question. So if it has been admitted in the Raj Sabha, then somebody becomes a villain. Very conveniently. We are not fighting for an individual in that chair. We are fighting for the position of the chair. The importance of that in a given situation like this, where we are questioning the government on several issues. We need answers. We don't want house disruptions.
Okay.
And you
Renuka
conveniently do it. You rile up everyone and then you pretend it's not you. Wow.
All right, Renuka Chaudhary, appreciate your time. Neerja Chaudhary, senior journalist and columnist, joins us. We also have Amitabh Tiwari. Neerja Chaudhary, as someone who has covered parliamentary democracy, this is unprecedented for a vice president to resign mid-term and on health grounds. Of course, in the past, 5 vice presidents that we know of resigned for multiple reasons. They went on to become the presidents as well. Of course, there are multiple there are multiple theories around it. Do you think that has been more or less put to rest, and now the focus has shifted to who will be the next vice president and whether it will be a consensus candidate or whether the India bloc will be, announcing its own nominee just as NDA would be? Have we moved ahead from the theories?
I think, this has been historically unprecedented.
Yes.
The narrative has changed in Parliament as a result. If you look at what we were discussing on that Monday when the monsoon session started, Pahalgam, Operation Sindoor, Mr. Kharge making that statement, and so on. Today, it's gone into the background. Of course, there'll be discussion on it, but it's one of the many subjects. It's not the central subject. Now, there are few takers for the theory that Mr. Dhankhar resigned on health grounds. Of course, he had health issues, no doubt about that. But had it been health, it would have been handled very differently. He might have done it before the session. He would have packaged it very differently. It's possible that the government would have tried to persuade him not to go. But the way it has happened, it was accepted very quickly. It was gazetted very quickly. And the Prime Minister's statement itself, when he was made the Vice President of India 3 years ago, the Prime Minister's statement was very effusive, talking about his Kisani background. This time, the Prime Minister's statement was terse, that Mr. Dhankhar had been given many opportunities to serve, and he wished him the best. There was no word about his contribution and so on, and of course, no farewell and etc. So clearly, Maria, there has been a falling out between Mr. Dhankhar, who was seen to be batting on the side of the government for many, many months as vice president. So the falling out between the top leadership of the government and the BJP and now the former vice president of India. Now, there are many reasons, and I believe it is said is because of that notice given by opposition MPs for a impeachment motion against the Judge Verma. But it cannot be at that level of constitutional positions. It cannot be one instance.
Yes.
These pinpricks keep taking place.
Yes.
So there has to be, that one incident could be the last straw that broke the camel's back.
Yes.
And there's a whole history, and one hears of, the people who saw him in the last 6 months, and he was quite critical of the government. Critical of the government, and the Prime Minister has obviously reached the top of the government. And I think things had been probably building up. And of course his stand on the judiciary, but overall my sense is that they came to the conclusion, those in the BJP's top leadership, that they could not afford to have the Rajya Sabha, the upper house, slip out of their hands. And somewhere maybe they saw that happening. And this was not because he was acquiring as they say, surkhiyon mein all the time, acquiring a large profile, unlike, say, the president. And obviously the leadership would like a different kind of, those who man these positions, those who don't have, a larger than life profile, and much more low profile, as we've seen with chief ministers also in states ruled by the BJP. It's a different breed that's coming in.
Yes. Neerja ma'am, what also became evident, and of course this has been simmering, that's what sources have been telling us, is for the last few weeks, and perhaps that was the trigger point or the ultimate flashpoint that you say, the straw that broke the camel's back. But because of the repeated statements that was coming in from the vice president, and he had started being seen as as someone who was perhaps speaking on behalf of the government, his repeated statements against the judiciary also did not go down well. While the government believes in separation of power, it would have also wanted that, the role in the appointments of various judges, the decisions which have happened in recent times, it had a role to play as well, Amitabh Tiwari.
Yeah, of course. If you see the ministers who have been very vocal or have indulged in judicial activism, starting from Ravi Shankar Prasad to then Kiran Rijiju and now Vice President Dhankar have almost all of them have met the same fate because there is clearly a separation between the judiciary and the executive. And the government also believes in it, though it wants to have some sort of control, and the NJAC has been under discussions for a long time now. What has also happened is that this has caused some embarrassment to the government, and this would continue perhaps for this week because the opposition would, in fact, even today it has realized by raising the SIR issue outside of parliament is that if they latch onto this just because it has caused embarrassment, then major issues like the SIR or the Pahalgam terror attack or the Operation Sindoor cannot be discussed, where they have perhaps greater ammunition to pin the government down. Also, since Mr. Dhankhar is not a political heavyweight, correct? Not a politician of sorts. His exit may not create the same furor that would have happened if a heavyweight politician who was occupying the vice president chair would have taken such decision. Correct. So that also is a point that after some time the elections will be round the corner. There will be a discussion on names, whether there will be a consensus candidate, where there will be voting. In voting, the NDA has the edge. So I think sometime during the weekend or over the course of the next week, things are likely to settle down because the Prime Minister has also gone to UK and there will be a free trade agreement signing. So news cycles move, correct? So news cycles move from one news to another. And since he's not a heavyweight and also perhaps not a not from the traditional RSS BJP background, I think the losses are temporary and could be minimal for the BJP and the NDA in the long run.
Oh, the question now is who will be the next vice president? Any guess on that front?
I mean, any guesses you take is very difficult in BJP's textbook sort of politics, wherein it is very, very difficult to take any names. But I believe that this has also given an opportunity to the BJP to settle the long pending BJP president appointment, correct? Because we've heard of many reports, rumors that there are some tensions between RSS and BJP over that role, correct? So now you have two positions to fill. So there can be some midway agreement or between the two entities that one position can be taken by the RSS and one position can be taken by the BJP, correct? Or rather the two groups, let's say. So I think it also brings an opportunity to the BJP to perhaps settle this issue, as both of them are very big and important posts, and also gives a way out to both the parties to agree on the matter.
All right, Neerja Chaudhary. Neerja, your thoughts? I mean, that was Amitabh Tiwari responding to that. Next vice president.
Look, many names are doing the round. That is going to happen. Rajnath Singh, Nitish Kumar, the Governor Ravi of Tamil Nadu. I would say somebody like Harivansh, who's very low profile. He's from the JDU, but has, worked in tandem with the BJP. He's going to officiate as vice president and chair of the House. You don't know whether will it be him, and there are Bihar elections down the road. But it would not be somebody who has a different, as I say, higher profile. It will be somebody with a low profile, just as President Murmu is. There is symbolic importance of her being a woman as well as a tribal, but she is very quiet. She hasn't acquired an independent profile of another kind. So I would think the leadership of the BJP favors those like that, and that those kind of personalities to head institutions.
All right, Neeraj Chaudhary and Amitabh Tiwari, I appreciate your time. Shifting focus now to Vikas Singh, former Additional Solicitor General of India and senior advocate, is joining us. This entire controversy surrounding the exit of Jagdeep Dhankhar, the Vice President, has raised a lot of questions about the role of institutions as well, Mr. Singh. How do you see this as a lawyer who is witnessing it from the outside?
So I think it's a little unfortunate because the reason which he has given obviously is not the right reason. So there has to be something else. Now, as the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, if he had a motion which is by law permissible to be entertained, and if he entertained a motion for the removal of a judge, that can't be a justification to ask him to step down. And this is actually the only justifiable reason that one can think of. The government wanted him to wait for sufficient number of ruling party MPs also to give him that requisition, and to wait on, not act on the requisition by the Congress members. But, this will actually be contrary to the constitutional scheme, because the moment the requisite number of MPs give you a requisition, you have to entertain that requisition. And to wait for the ruling party also to get those signatures and to not entertain a requisition of this kind would actually be contrary to the, the impartiality that is expected of a position of a vice president or a speaker or any constitutional office of this kind. I think this is sad for the country. This is not right. I mean, not on the merits of whether he should have resigned or not resigned, or whether he was the right person in the place or not. Was that obviously I'm nobody to comment. But the way he has left is, not something which is good or healthy for our democracy. And these constitutional positions definitely look like as if they are meant to be puppets and not to act independently.
But Vikas Singh, I've been speaking to the leaders across party lines, and sense certainly is that in the Rajya Sabha there is already a motion of impeachment of a judge that is pending, that is of Justice Yadav, and hence the government was of the opinion that a motion of impeachment of another judge should be brought in the Lok Sabha.
No, so that is not a legal requirement. It can be the Rajya Sabha or the Lok Sabha either. I mean, it's not something which so it is not, a motion cannot be brought in only when the ruling party wants it to be brought in. So that's not the law. The requisite number of MPs, if they sign, then a motion can be entertained. So it's not that there is any requirement of Lok Sabha only entertaining a motion or Rajya Sabha only entertaining a motion. It can be said that having not entertained another motion against Justice Yadav, why did he entertain this motion? Could be said something against him, because if he was so impartial in entertaining any motion of this kind, he should have entertained that other motion also. But we can't, look at his conduct there to justify his or not justify his conduct here. If he did not entertain a motion there, that is a separate, according to me, a separate, cause against him. And to say that he is not acting as per the constitutional office which he is expected to, perform. But whatever he did in this case cannot be faulted, or he cannot be asked to resign, or he should not be made to resign, because having done something which is as per law.
But sir, of course, you're raising questions about as per law. But isn't it almost understood that the chairman of the Rajya Sabha and the speaker of the Lok Sabha serve the office because they have the support of the ruling government? They are appointed to that chair by the ruling government.
No, so they are elected by the, by this. So in the case of vice president, it is the House of People and the council of this upper house both elect a vice president. and for the president there is a separate electoral college. So it is not as if they are elected by the ruling party. Impliedly, it will have to be the majority, the ruling party supporting both these positions for anybody to be elected, because normally the ruling party will have more number of people in the electoral college. But there can be a situation, and there was a situation once when the BJP first came to power, where the electoral college for the presidential election could be different from the electoral from the what the ruling party wants it to be. So they could be in a minority in the electoral college for the office of the president. So although it's a different matter that then also they could muster the support of the regional parties and get their candidate elected. But theoretically, it is possible. So it is not as if these offices are meant to be. Now, for instance, a speaker's position. Let me just give you an example of a speaker's position, and to that extent, even a vice president will have. There are several decisions he has to take on the anti-defection bill, which are basically judicious decisions. So he is not acting as a government representative while he's not supposed to act as a government representative while he's acting in that position. But our experience has been that mostly these people act as per the dictates of the government. And that is why the government has expected the vice president also in this case to wait for the government nod before accepting a motion of this kind, because that's how he has been working so far as a mouthpiece of the government. And if he did not continue in the same manner in which he has continued as governor of West Bengal as well as vice president, suddenly if he wants to become fair and impartial, then that is not palatable to the ruling party, and that is why probably he had to resign. So it's a sad state of affairs, I would say, as far as these high positions, constitutional positions are concerned, whether it be speaker or whether it be vice president or governor or even the president of India.
All right, Vikas Singh, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Joining us now is Rajesh Verma, who is an LJP MP from Bihar. He represents Khagaria constituency. वर्मा जी, ये जो धनकर वाइस प्रेसिडेंट धनकर का जो एग्जिट है उस पर बहुत सारे सवाल उठ रहे हैं. एक ऐसा वर्जन ये भी है कि ऑपोजिशन का उन्होंने इम्पीचमेंट मोशन एक्सेप्ट कर लिया था और जो सही नहीं था, लेकिन ये भी बोला जा रहा है कि जो वाइस प्रेसिडेंट का पोजीशन होता है वो तो बाई पार्टिजान होना चाहिए. ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल क्राइसिस के तौर पे देखा जा रहा है. एलजेपी जो भाजपा का एनडीए में आप लोग साथ में हैं, आप कैसे देखते हैं इसको?
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं. जब उन्होंने खुद से ये उसमें अपने रेजिग्नेशन में स्पष्ट रूप से लिखा है, उन्होंने अपने हेल्थ इश्यूज को लेकर बताया. अब क्या हेल्थ इश्यूज हैं, इन चीज़ों पर देश के उपराष्ट्रपति हैं रहे हैं, तो उस पर मुझे लगता है कि कोई टीका टिप्पणी जब तक पूरी जानकारी नहीं हो तब तक करना उचित नहीं है. परंतु जब उन्होंने स्पष्ट रूप से इस बात को कहा है और सबका आभार व्यक्त किया है, प्रधानमंत्री से लेकर राष्ट्रपति से लेकर पूरे देश का, कि उनको एक लंबे समय तक बतौर उपराष्ट्रपति देश की सेवा करने का उनको अवसर मिला, तो मुझे लगता है इस पर कोई टीका टिप्पणी करना भी बहुत जल्दबाजी होगी. समय के हिसाब से ये चीजें स्पष्ट होंगी तो ज्यादा बेहतर है.
एक कयास लगाया जा रहा है कि वाइस प्रेसिडेंट के तौर पर बिहार के मुख्यमंत्री नीतीश कुमार को मौका देना चाहिए. आप एनडीए के अलाई हैं, आपको लगता है ये डिमांड सही है और ये डिमांड बिहार से ही आ रहा है?
नहीं, देखिए, इसमें कोई दो मत नहीं है कि माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी के पास एक लंबा राजनीतिक अनुभव है, और अगर इस तरीके की दिशा में यदि कोई सरकार सोचती है तो हम लोग भी स्वागत करेंगे. माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी का एक लंबा बिहार को चलाने का अनुभव है. रेल मंत्रालय उन्होंने चलाया, इसके पहले भी उन्होंने कई मंत्रालय चलाए हैं और एक लंबे समय तक बिहार की पॉलिटिक्स में रहे हैं. अगर ऐसी कोई संभावनाएं बनती हैं, क्योंकि कौन बनेगा ये तो कह पाना बड़ा कठिन है, लेकिन क्योंकि हमारे प्रदेश के यदि मुख्यमंत्री को मौका मिलता है, बिहार से कोई देश का प्रतिनिधित्व करने का किसी को मौका मिलता है, उपराष्ट्रपति के पद पर सुशोभित होने का मौका मिलता है, तो हम सबके लिए गर्व की बात है. लेकिन अंतिम निर्णय तो केंद्र सरकार का और बाकी तमाम जितने भी हम लोग हैं सब मिलकर जो भी अंतिम निर्णय होगा वो किया जाए.
All right, Rajesh Verma there, LJP MP. Thank you so much for joining us.